Have you ever wondered what happens when you crossbreed a Chechen warrior with a wolf? Well, we didn't either, but that's why we were so amazed when Khamzat came through and wrecked everyone in middleweight and welterweight for a bit. He looked like an even more brutal version of Habib in his prime. He was completely mauling people. Maybe not with the same technical masterclass, but in a way where he was just picking up and slamming everyone, and it was just brutal. We haven't seen anything like it.
Yeah, never seen anything like it really. And honestly, if you were to tell me that Sean Strickland would be the one to end this run of Hamzat,
Yeah,
everything he's done, that Sean Strickland would be the end of that, I would call you crazy. You
yeah,
know, I mean, seriously, like I would think you're batshit insane.
yeah,
But that's what happened. That's the reality. That's what we're talking about. So there's a lot of questions here.
yeah.
You know, people have different opinions. They think, a lot of people right after the fight were like, "Oh, did he throw?" You know, he looked. You watched that first round. You thought it was going to be the same as when he fought DDP. He had control. He had complete control in that first round.
That's what I was
Took
gonna
him
say.
down. Yeah, took him down instantly. And that whole round, I mean, Sean was defending, but he couldn't escape the grappling.
Yeah.
And felt like that was going to be the story of the whole fight, but the second round, things kind of changed.
Well, this is why it got a little confusing because DDP was able to completely give a masterclass of his awkward striking and whatnot to Sean. But then you had Hamzat, who completely mauled DDP and left us a little confused because, you know, that fight happened and we're like, well, it's just a matter of time until Hamzat gets his hands on him. Well, like, let's just see what's going to happen when he does. Not like he's going to be able to do anything. But there was a little bit of history going behind it. We had Sean Strickland coming out in the past saying, "Oh, Hamza, beat the shit out of me. He was mauling everyone in the training camp, including me." And once the fight started getting a little bit closer, he was like, "Well, he was actually a bully, and he was just picking on the small guys. Oh, and he's a piece of shit and blah blah. His antics." But
Yeah.
so it kind of gave us something to expect with the fight, even though Sean was putting on a front, being the tough guy and whatnot. It's a little confusing when you hear about past troubles of, even being able to spar with the guy because he'd asked to not be around him, you know?
Yeah. And it's weird because, Sean literally said that Hamzat would beat the shit out of him in practice,
Yeah,
And it kind of felt like, I mean, I know some other people felt this way. Even I felt this way, that they just gave it to Sean because of his antics. He was a big name. He was an exciting fighter that people liked.
yeah,
They gave him people. A lot of people might not have thought he deserved the title fight, let alone the fact that he won is, insane. But him going into it, like I said in the previous video, like no one saw this coming. Like I was never so sure about any outcome.
yeah.
And so what actually happened, like I said, there's a lot of questions when you look into kind of what led up to it and just disregard what everyone's saying, like even what Sean said, what Hamzat said,
Yeah.
it kind of makes a little more sense. Because what I didn't know was, I mean, he had talked about it, prior that he was gearing up to go to light heavyweight.
Yeah.
And, he was working on going up in weight to do that. He was going to go fight, I guess, Ankalaev, I
He
believe,
was
or
gonna fight Yuri, but that was
yeah, Yuri,
when
yeah.
Yuri was either champ or he was the champ contender, something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, he was gonna fight for the title, and then obviously he lost.
Yeah,
But yeah. So Hamzat's putting back down that weight, and you can tell in that weigh-in that he just didn't look right,
oh
And I
no.
didn't see that before the fight.
Yeah,
He looked like
there was a
defeated right
controversy
there.
around that, right? Because I think there was a towel and he was holding it, or he wasn't standing still or something, and the weight didn't even settle. So a lot of people thought not only did he not make weight, but he didn't even stand on the scale for long. He didn't, he's just like it was shaky. It wasn't even settled. He could have been off by a lot, but they didn't let the weight settle at all. Um, yeah, that could have had so much to do with it. I mean, what was it, 40, 50 pounds? You had Armin talking about how there was a huge
Yeah.
weight cut. 40 to 50 pounds, man, like that is a lot of weight. That will take the life out of somebody cutting that much, you know? People, you don't hear people doing that a lot in general. And I mean, maybe like extreme weight cuts for like going down in divisions, but that's like rare. And, you know, it's Sean was completely slept on plus the fact that Hamzat, you know, already had to do a weight cut. That doesn't do well together. Like he was slept on, he had no pressure on his shoulders, like we were saying, and you know he has a past with him in the training camp, so he might have been able to, you know, like pick out some of his movements, ride out the storm that is Hamza. In the meantime, you know, he knows like, oh, he's gonna maul me, but then once it gets to this point, you know, he could know something that we don't, and he could have made it play out exactly how he wanted to in that fight. So
Yeah, I think we really slept on Sean here, just in
yeah,
general, because this is the second time that he's been an extreme underdog and come out on top. You know, no one had him winning against Izzy.
yeah,
And, you know, it's crazy because in that second round, him actually managing to come out on top. I mean, I thought that was just kind of, you know, Hamza, like I kind of felt like Hamza was holding back, but in reality, I guess he really just used all his energy on that first round and that like take holding him down, you know, because after that, everything changed.
yeah,
And he really he looked like he was tired, you know, at a certain point, but I still felt like, I mean, he's good, like he's got this, you know.
yeah.
Then in that third round, he's just kind of like,
Oh
I felt like
man,
he was kind of like, let's give him a show or something,
yeah,
let's stand up, you know, and he's just holding back on the grappling, you know.
yeah.
That's how I felt. But
Well, he did
Sean
say
was
something
piecing him
like
up.
that. I'm pretty sure. I think he
Yeah.
said something like that post fight. But it's like, man, you know, where's the constant mauling? Where's the dominant takedowns? Where's that killer instinct that he had against? Okay, I wouldn't say killer instinct that he had against DDP, but you know, where is
Yeah.
that just complete domination that we know Hamza for? That just wasn't there, and that's why, you know, it could have been the fact that he has a past of training with him. It could have been the fact that he really likes him. Pause. It could have been the fact that, you know, he just the weight cut just drained him. It could be that simple, and Sean was just a bad matchup combined with that. You know.
There was a point there where he was his stand like his striking looked pretty good too, you know. He
Yeah.
there was a moment I felt like he was about to knock him out, but Sean just kind of stayed alive, bro. And I mean, it really just came down to, you know, who had the energy. And I just never would have thought it would be Sean that beats him, you know, but it really happened, you know. And I don't know. I mean, there's a
You hear a lot of people saying, you know, oh, the I was watching DJ I think break this down, and it's like, oh, this transition takes energy, you know, this takedown takes energy, this whatever takes energy, and Sean is the cardio type of fighter, you know. Hamzat
yeah,
is, but in a grappling sense, if he can hold you down, Sean is great at not being held down. So it's like
yeah.
that was, you know, at the end of the day, it could have just been a perfect counter. I mean, but
Yeah, because you saw in that last round too that Hamza he was aggressive. He tried to go back to his, you know, n normal shit, but
yeah,
he went for that quick takedown, and Sean was able to actually get back up, and you could tell at that point they're both tired and they're just both kind of like throwing shots, and
yeah,
but Sean was staying active defensively too, and he just kind of edged him with those significant strikes in that last round too, won
yeah.
that round.
He did his thing, you know. He did his jab, teep, stand there special, you know, the Strickland special, and talk shit up to the max before the fight. So you got to give him props to that. He imposed his game plan. He does on everyone. You know, it's a split decision win, and it's on to crazier things. But you know, let's just hope that was for Hamzat's sake, that was a fluke, and that if he gets the weight cut done right, and it seems, you know, he needs to properly take care of his weight. He's not a big like 185er. He's not. He would
Hmm.
be a small light heavyweight. He wouldn't be. You know, he's a normal sized middleweight right now. So it's like he
Yeah.
just needs to get his shit straight. You know, like
Yeah.
it's competitive, but Sean, you know, once it got to the later rounds, Sean just pulled through. Hamzat needs to work on his, you know, I guess what is it? His
Yeah.
diet, his conditioning, like
Yeah,
he's
I
got
think
to
it
get
was a
that
physical
through.
problem there. I
Yeah,
think this is one that we really need to. It would be really cool to see a rematch someday. I don't know if we
yeah,
will, but if Hamzat wants it, I think, you know, on a better day, I think he's got this. But then again, I'm not going to
for
count out
sure.
Sean again, after that
Oh yeah, he thrives
because
on being the underdog, bro. Clearly, I mean, the most
yeah,
two
I'm not
written
going
off
to.
fights in his life, fucking came through with flying colors. So
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people are talking about Sean now, like have where he like ranks, you know, historically with what he's done, just being such a fighting two all-time great fighters and coming out on top, being such an underdog is, I mean, didn't think I'd ever be saying this like a few years ago, but he's
yeah,
up there in that middleweight division, he really is.
yeah. I mean, so now there's the potential of Hamzat moving up to light heavyweight. You got Dana saying that that's exciting. You got people who I guess are just fans of not seeing Hamzat in middleweight anymore, thinking that's an exciting potential up there. Uh, I think that he needs to take care of himself a little bit more and retry this, maybe retry some of his fights. No more murdering himself to get down to 185. Just do it properly. And I just think it was a bad night with a bad cut and a bad matchup with someone who, has experience with him. But there's always
Yeah.
potential that, it's the start of the beginning of the crack in the Boers. People could have cracked the code on him. And this could have been our first
Yeah.
example of that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I fully agree with it. I think it, like you said, it was kind of he needs to take better care of himself,
Yeah.
but he let his guard down, bro. And, you know, Sean came out on top, and I mean, that's just it was written, bro. So
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, y'all let us know, do you think that Hamzat just missed weight? Do you think that it was and that fucked him up? Do you think that it was the fact that he had a past with Sean Strickland and maybe he cracked the code on him because he's been training with him? He saw through the armor of the Boers. Do you think that Sean Strickland was just a bad matchup for him in general? He's got that jab, he's got his teep, he's got his cardio. That's the one
yeah,
thing that you have to defeat him with, it seems like. And
yeah,
what's next for him? What would y'all like to see most next? Because I think I would like to see him to go up to light heavyweight, but I want to see him at the same time at least give it another run.
yeah. I mean, I kind of want to see at some point. It's probably not going to happen right now. I want to see a rematch of this, but
Yeah,
we'll see.
yeah,
But one more thing, guys. I mean, we got a lot of exciting fights coming up
yes
this next
sir,
month, leading up to that White House card, which is obviously going to be huge. Come join us on Discord. We're gonna be watching the fights,
yes sir.
and come talk about it with us. Whatever you want us to cover, just come vibe with us,
Come
So
vibe with us.
we're
Come
always
join us. Let us know. We're always down to talk to all y'all. Also leave comments, like, subscribe. For breakdowns, in-depth convos, base takes.
yes, sir. Stay based.
Stay based.